Welcome to episode 273 of the Beyond Social Media Show, the podcast for marketing, advertising, public relations, and communications professionals. You can find us by just searching Beyond Social Media Show. We're recording live on YouTube on June 23rd, 2019, and as always, we have a ton of stuff to talk about, starting with the Meow conference, Augmented Advertising, the Woke Barrel, Robobullying, Ice on Fire, Braille Art, Spotify's podcast targeting, Libra, LinkedIn spies, singing fakes, easy fakes, driverless photos, and speech to face. And we got a lot of fake stuff to talk about, so we're calling this the fake episode. I get to start with the best thing that happened this week, and it was such a dire week in so many ways. So I find the best thing that happened this week was when the Pakistani government official forgot to turn off the cat filter during a Facebook Live press conference. So the provincial information minister, Yusuf Shakutzai, in northwest Pakistan, a member of the ruling party in Pakistan, was talking to a local journalist at a press conference that was being broadcast live via social media on Facebook. And the event turned a little bit awkward when cat ears and whiskers appeared on the minister's face during the live video. And the autofilter soon caught up his colleague, who was also a part of the conference. And so the two of them were sitting there. And of course, the video immediately went viral on social media. It was later deleted from the party's official political page. However, as we all know, what goes online stays online. So it's still there, and we'll have it in the show notes.
That's awesome. That's like the BBC interview with the subject matter expert on some foreign affairs.
When his kid came running in. This is hilarious. Awesome. So what do you got, Dave?
Well, I got an AR one. This is from Abner Lee at 9 to 5 Google, who talks about, so at Google's I/O 2019 conference, they announced that they would be including 3D objects in search, as well as the ability to view augmented reality via Google search. So if you search for tiger on your mobile device and use a Chrome browser, I was using my my iPhone. It's better with an Android device, but you'll get an image of a tiger with a view in 3D button. So you tap that launches the experience, and you can rotate the tiger and see it from all views and everything. But on Android devices, presumably, because I don't have one, I was using an iOS device, you can place the tiger into your own environment using another tap of the image, and it'll put the tiger in your living room or wherever you are doing it. So that's a pretty awesome augmented reality application. Google's partnering with NASA, Samsung, Target, Volvo, and others to develop other third-party content as well, and a lot of that obviously will be commercial content. They're rolling out. YouTube is rolling out augmented reality virtual try-ons for makeup brands and influencers. This is from Ad Age's Garrett Sloan.
That's a great idea.
It is. So it's virtual try-ons. You use the selfie camera, and you can digitally sample a shade of lipstick and other makeup products. There's a buy button on it. They're also releasing a new ad format that incorporates the technology. They're calling them 3D display ads. They can run on any mobile website. MAC Cosmetics is one of the first beauty brands to test out the virtual try-ons, and New Balance are among the first brands to develop a 3D display ad. Snapchat, Facebook, Apple, and Amazon have all been using AR, have all got AR programs, but YouTube is rolling this out as an advertising vehicle. YouTube is using FameBit, which is an influencer platform it bought in 2016, and it links brands and video stars to develop these AR integrations. So YouTube obviously can offer a lot of better intelligence on the video creators themselves, because it has all this data from YouTube. Remember in episode 239, we talked about L'Oreal has a AR makeup app. There's virtual furniture apps we've talked about. Virtual sunglasses from glasses.com. There's an app that you can try on sunglasses.
Warby Parker.
Warby Parker. In episode 220, we talked about Jurassic World Live, the app that they have for basically Pokemon with dinosaurs.
I love that one, actually.
And that's that, you know, you can see all the different applications. You can tease in a movie with AR now in these new ads. You can sell products. So the ad format is called Swirl, and the company's introducing a new editor for the ads on Poly, which is Google's 3D platform. These tools will be available for brands and advertisers this summer. And then lastly, on the AR front, in Google AR front, there's an article from Search Insider by Laurie Sullivan, who talks about the future of Chrome, which will enable WebXR. WebXR is an open web framework that provides full augmented reality experiences where marketers can use more than one object. So in these 3D ads, the 3D examples they had in search, it's one object. But this will enable you to have several animated objects and sound effects that live within the browser itself. So the browsing experience itself could become much more virtual and much more immersive. So pretty cool technology on the horizon.
That's a pretty remarkable idea. But, you know, Chrome is just such a clunky browser, and it crashes all the time lately. So, and it uses up all your memory. So I hope they're going to improve that when they add all these cool things, because those are really cool things.
Yeah.
So speaking of times changing, we live in a time when morality is exercised by Cracker Barrel, and the Cracker Barrel restaurant in Tennessee turned away a pastor who preached that LGBT sermons in his anti-LGBT sermons that gay people should be executed by the government. So he wanted to have a gathering at this restaurant, and Cracker Barrel said, "We live in a world," wait, I'll tell you what Cracker Barrel said. "We disagree strongly with their statements of hate and divisiveness," the restaurant said. "We serve everyone who walks through our doors with genuine hospitality, not hate, and require all guests to do the same." And, you know, on Twitter, somebody said, "We live in a world where Cracker Barrel is exercising moral authority," which is really actually pretty hilarious. But this is a very big turnaround for Cracker Barrel. Of course, it's a long time later, but back in 1991, Cracker Barrel refused to employ homosexual people and fired a chef who was a lesbian. So times really are changing. And, you know, this is just such a big part of brands taking a stand. And, you know, brands need to be careful when they take a stand. But in this case, the response was quite positive. And a recent poll from Sprout Social found that 2/3 of consumers, 66%, say it's important for brands to take a public stand on social and political issues. And in 2017, an Edelman survey agreed that millennials are belief-driven buyers, 60% of them. So, you know, if you're targeting a younger audience, you better be taking a stand. So this is a great reversal for the company. And John Pavlovitz tweeted, "Cracker Barrel, making America great."
Well, another issue that younger people are concerned with. We are all concerned with it, but younger people, it's their future, so they're more concerned with it than anybody. Is the environment. And I recently watched Ice on Fire, which is a documentary that was produced and narrated by Leonardo DiCaprio. It's playing on HBO right now. You can actually watch it free on HBO's website. So we'll put a link to it in the show notes, the full version. But it's both terrifying and hopeful. So it's terrifying because we are completely on the brink of a dying planet if we don't change the way we're doing things. But it's hopeful in that it provides a bunch of amazing, innovative solutions that are being worked out. Examples of amazing. Explores the ways to reduce the documentary explores ways to reduce carbon inputs in the atmosphere, and specifically how to draw carbon down so that we reduce the carbon that is in the atmosphere in order to solve this problem. Among the examples is a USOL, I think that's pronounced it, USOL Redwood Forest Foundation, which is in Northern California, and they are a carbon storage project that focuses on reforestation and creates biochar, which basically takes carbon out of the atmosphere and puts it into a char-like material that you put back into the soil for storage. And then there's Ron Finley, a guy who has an urban farm in Los Angeles where the community grows food that takes carbon out of the air and the food's nutritious. There's Climeworks, which is a direct air capture machine in Zurich. And then finally, there's Thimble Island Ocean Farm, which is off the coast of Connecticut. And the owner, Bren Smith, grows shellfish and seaweed that soak up more carbon than land-based plants and can be used for food, animal feed, and fertilizer. And one thing he said about the seaweed is that it can be used for animal feed for like cows, and it reduces the amount of methane that cows produce by 90%.
Wow.
So yeah, amazing. And just if you're interested in innovative stories or business innovation in particular, it's a great documentary for that alone. Not only the environmental message.
What were the foods that they were growing that would be helpful? Do you know? Remember?
In the urban farm, I don't remember.
Yeah. Oh, because that's fascinating.
Yeah.
That really is. So I do not have more good news.
Oh, I got a bunch of good news, BL.
Well, give us some, because this was the kind of week when we need good news.
Exactly. So we talk about, I think we've talked about every new Boston Dynamics robot that came out, right? Yeah, we are big fans of Boston Dynamics robots. And one of them was the stacking robot, where they had the robot stacking boxes, picking up boxes and stacking them and everything. And it was the guy with the hockey stick knocking the boxes out of the robot's arms and pushing the robot around. Like, do you really want to do that to Terminator, right? I mean, that's kind of maybe you'll get offended. Well, somebody has created, this is from the Next Web's Tristan Green wrote about it. Somebody has created a parody video of Boston Dynamics of what happens when a robot gets sick and tired of being kicked, pushed, and forced to work under extreme conditions in the name of robust testing. And I'll put a link to the video in the show notes. It's absolutely hilarious. So
that's very funny.
This is very cool. This is from TikTok by Bloomberg. I found it in a tweet by them. Some museums are using technology to create touchable 3D models of photos and paintings to enable blind people to experience the artwork. So the museums that have implemented this kind of Braille Art have noticed that the dwell time for artwork that includes these 3D installations increases for sighted visitors as well as the blind. Obviously, blind can experience it, so they're going to spend more time in front of it rather than an encased box that they can't see. But the sighted visitors use the 3D installations. They feel it and everything, and they learn more about the work of art in particular as well. So it's increasing the amount of engagement with the artwork. And then finally, Spotify has a couple of new things that are cool. Spotify has this is from Sarah Perez at TechCrunch. Spotify has launched a new personalized playlist called Your Daily Drive, which includes both music and podcasts. It's an effort to cater to commuters who Spotify says there's 70 billion collective hours behind the wheel. The playlist includes the music that you already like. It includes recommended tracks from Discover Weekly that we talked about in episode 207, as well as podcast news updates from the Wall Street Journal, NPR, and PRI. So it seems like another step that Spotify is working to acclimate its users to listening to podcasts. And then more importantly, this TechSpot article by Cal Jeffrey reports on how Spotify is now allowing advertisers to target their ads towards specific podcast listeners. So previously, Spotify advertising, it focused on playlists and genres, so music. You had to kind of infer what your audience, what kind of music your audience liked in order to target them, right? These new tools allow sellers to seek much more relevant audiences because podcasts are topical. People talk about specific things in podcasts, so it's easier to target based on what you typically know what topics your audience is interested more than you do what genres of music they listen to. But it's pretty exciting because now you can, as podcasters, we could grow audiences by targeting similar podcasts or targeting people who have listened to our podcast once but haven't come back. So maybe try and get them back, right? Spotify says that nothing will change for free users. The ads will be more tailored to their interest, and it will only appear between songs and not inserted into or over podcasts, which is smart.
Just so annoying when they do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's also a new thing that lets you know what advertisers. I think it's called Podcast Insights. I have it in Shiny Objects. And it lets you know who's advertising on podcasts. And
cool.
so you can check by, to see who the advertisers are. So if we wanted to know who on podcasts that we think are similar to ours, we wanted to know their advertisers, we could then pitch them and vice versa, I guess,
Like it. All right, I'm done with my good stuff. Let's get on the bad stuff.
Okay, well, Facebooks are here. Facebook is launching Libra, which is a cryptocurrency that it hopes is going to become a new global currency. And like Ive, the company that we trust so much now with our privacy, wants to get into our bank accounts. I don't know about that. So this is from a New York Times story by Mike Isaac and Nathaniel Popper. And Facebook wants to create an alternative financial system that relies on cryptocurrency, and they've been secretly working on it for more than a year. And it's a sort of a utopian and dystopian goal to create this currency for an alternative financial system. And Libra, the name Libra is a reference to the Roman measurement for a pound, which was once used to mint coins. And Michael Learmoth tweeted, I guess they wouldn't call it Facebooks, but I think that's what people are going to call it. Anil Dash tweeted, well, they certainly earned our trust enough to be worth betting the stability of our global financial systems on their judgment. And Ernie Smith tweeted, new from the company that recklessly gambled with your privacy, an attempt to recklessly gamble with your money. So they have, it's a serious effort, really. They have 27 partners. They have MasterCard, they have Uber. And while there's going to be immediate skepticism and people being wary of the power and the privacy concerns, this actually might take place. And providing more privacy would make Facebook's ad targeting more difficult for them. So they're looking at this as a new way to make money from money. And they're also distancing themselves from the direct management of Libra. The project is going to be run by a nonprofit. And it's called the Libra Association, and it's independent from Facebook. However, Facebook's involvement is going to be handled by its new subsidiary, which is called Calibra. And they said that Calibra will not be allowed to share any of its financial customer data with other Facebook divisions, though there may be exceptions in incidents like fraudulent activity. Yeah, right. They're not going to share the information. And so to acquire Libra, if you want to buy Libra, you have to do it through Facebook's Calibra. And you're going to have to show government identification like a driver's license. So they hope that will make it unappealing for, black market transactions like drugs. If it catches on, it could offer financial services to customers, such as lending and investing. And Facebook and its partners want to make Libra coins available to the public by 2020. But there's a whole lot of roadblocks like Congress. In the meantime, the government could stop the project cold on Tuesday. Maxine Waters, the Democrat from California, and the chairwoman woman of the House Financial Services Committee called on the company to immediately stop development until regulators could take a close look. So, hey, what could go wrong with Facebook in the financial system of the world?
Yeah, I have not read anything about that story at all, so I don't know
Oh, it's
anything
been
about it.
everywhere this
I
week.
know it
It's
has.
crazy.
I've seen the
Yeah.
headlines, but I haven't read any stories about it. But it does seem to me that the Bitcoin, the cryptocurrency efforts were a way of ensuring the trust of transactions. It seems that hasn't occurred.
Right.
Just apart from Libra, just in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general, it doesn't seem that they've achieved that goal. I mean, the whole system, monetary system, depends on trust, and so why is anybody going to trust
Well,
Facebook to
exactly. Facebook blew it in the privacy area. And, there was also this week, Casey Newton's incredible story about the Facebook moderators and the lives that they lead and the PTSD that they develop because they have to sit and look at horrible things all day long. And some of them broke their non-disclosure agreements to talk to him. Did you read it, Dave? It was
I don't want to read
remarkable.
that. No.
Oh my God. I mean, really what they have to go through is really horrifying. So, okay, I have lots more bad news, but go ahead, give us some.
All right. So this is an Associated Press story by Raphael Satter, who reported on Katie Jones, who seemed plugged into Washington's political scene, a 30-something redhead who had a LinkedIn profile that boasted a job at a job at a top think tank and had a who's who's network of pundits and experts from the Brookings Institution to the Heritage Foundation. She was connected to a Deputy Assistant Secretary of State, a senior aide to a senator, and the economist Paul Winfrey, who is being considered for a seat on the Federal Reserve. But the Associated Press reports this woman does not exist. She is part of a vast army of phantom profiles that have been found on LinkedIn. Experts say the profile picture appears to have been created by a computer program. And if you look at the photo, BL, it reminds you a lot of our episode 259, where we talked about the NVIDIA, I think, created a website called "This Person Does Not Exist."
Right, exactly. And they could make these people, and they look so real. They just look so real.
They did, but you look at the profile of the photo of the profile for this person in the story, Katie Jones, this non-person, and there are telltale things that you can tell from the "This Person Does Not Exist" website that give it away that it's a AI generated image. But
It's how the mouth moves, isn't it?
well, there's a lot of things, but kind of misshapen ears. One of her earrings was like melded into her earlobe. The blurriness around the edges of the hair, and I noticed a lot of the folds in the neck are really weird, kind of unnatural, and sometimes in the backgrounds there's just very weird. There's like one with a person who's another person's head was melded into so there are some giveaways, but
funny. But see, the problem is most people don't look that closely.
yeah, and that's what it was. It's like you glance at it, you look at their profile. They're a think tank. They're connected to people I'm connected to. Sure, I'll connect with them.
It sounds pretty credible, frighteningly enough.
Yep.
So also deep fakes. This is one we should all be really afraid of. This is from a story in The Verge by James Vincent. And, deep fakes might seem funny now, but we're going to be in the upside down really soon. And by the time the election comes around, for sure. So, you need to be very afraid of the way that technology is moving so fast, because now deep fakes can sing. So to prove that point, there's a video of Rasputin singing Beyonce's Halo. And getting Rasputin to sing Beyonce is just a little bit of light relief right now, but we don't know what weird, terrible things might get out of that in the future. And researchers use machine learning to generate their output. There was an example in the story of a I can't think of his name. Oh my God. Albert Einstein making a lecture that never happened. So, video now not only matches the audio, but it can be tweaked to show specific emotions, so that if you are having one emotion, you could be shown to have a different emotion. And all that was needed to create the clip of Rasputin singing was a single picture and an audio file, and the algorithms did the rest. So this is a really scary, thing that we're going to see in the election. That's all that's going to happen. We're already seeing it.
Well, some more stuff on that. This is again another story by James Vincent at the Verge on deepfake technology. Yeah. So there's some research that have demonstrated new software that uses machine learning to let users edit the text transcript of the video to add, delete, or change the words that come out of people's mouths. It was done by scientists from Stanford University, Max Planck Institute for Informatics, Princeton University, and tellingly, Adobe Research. And it kind of demonstrates the ability that we will have, or currently have, some people do, of creating realistic fakes. It's getting easier and easier every day. So it combines Adobe's audio editing technology with video face mapping, essentially. We talked about Adobe Voco in episode 165, where you can basically edit video, type in something and make somebody say whatever you want them to say. These algorithms, however, only work on talking head style videos. The researchers say that they can't yet change the mood or tone of the speaker's voice because doing so would lead to uncanny results. So they can do it, but it wouldn't be realistic.
So you have to be talking in order for that to happen, right?
Yeah. And any occlusions of the face. So if I wave my hand in front of my face, it's going to throw an algorithm off for the videos. In a blog post accompanying the paper, the researchers write that although methods for image and video manipulation are as old as the media themselves, the risk of abuse are heightened when applied to a mode of communications that is sometimes considered to be authoritative evidence of thoughts and intents. We acknowledge that bad actors might use technologies to falsify personal statements and slander prominent individuals, which is nice of them to acknowledge. But the remedy they suggest is that AI edited video should be clearly presented as such. Okay, that's nice. The Russians are going to definitely label this, by the way, this is a fake video. Yeah. Thanks for that.
Oh my goodness. Well, that's really horrifying stuff, and I mean, people don't pay attention. That's all there is to it. So this stuff it's going to be really easy to put this stuff over on people, as we've seen, with Nancy Pelosi, with Mark Zuckerberg. These things are going to happen every day, and it's horrifying. I wish that we could not have any advertising during the election. I wish that we could do what they do in Britain, no political advertising, because we're going to see a lot of this happening in those ads. We did it back in the 90s, so it's getting scarier every minute. So Google is making some changes in Google Photos and Google Drive. So beginning in July, photos on Google Drive are not automatically going to sync with Google Photos. So the reporters' names were Dan Schlesinger from Google Drive and Jason Gupta from Google Photos. And between them, they couldn't make an intelligible statement about what it was. The explanation for this is a complicated, rather unintelligible mess, which is very Google. So let me just read you a little bit of it. Any photos or videos from Drive in Photos that you have uploaded prior to this change will remain in Photos. If you have a Google Photos folder in Drive, it will remain in Drive but will no longer update automatically. And the new version currently in data does not include the option to import video from Google Photos. Also, the new YouTube desktop uploader no longer includes import from Google Photos. I didn't know it ever did. And then it goes on. Similarly, items you delete in Photos will not be removed from Drive. This change is designed to prevent accidental deletion of items and to simplify the use of the platforms. Got that?
Yeah.
It goes on and on. I
Okay.
have no idea
Don't.
what's going to happen. No, I'm not. But I mean, I have absolutely no idea. They're trying to get rid of confusion, and they're, as usual, creating more. So
Well,
something's going to happen.
as long as they don't get rid of photos, I'll be fine. I don't care about if it's synced or not to Drive, but photos is pretty good. I like it.
Yeah, but some weird stuff is going to happen, and stuff will get lost. You'll see.
Okay, so here's some more AI stuff. This is from Gizmodo's Melanie Ehrenkrantz, who writes about MIT research, who researchers have published a paper called Speech to Face. And it explores how an algorithm can generate a face based on a short audio recording of that person. It's not an exact depiction of the speaker, but it's surprisingly close. It's pretty amazing.
What is this, like a police drawing or something?
No, it's an actual attempt at a photograph. So the researchers have trained a deep neural network on millions of educational YouTube clips with over 100,000 different speakers. The research does indicate that even in a rudimentary form, an algorithm can guess what someone looks like based exclusively on their voice. So
Oh my
it's
God.
basically taking audio, feeding it into a deep neural network, and spitting out a fairly accurate representation of what the person looks like. If you look at the before and after photos, you go, yeah, I can see that. I mean, it's not exactly the person. You might not recognize exactly the person, but it's similar enough to make you go, wow, that's pretty good. From the paper, so I was wondering, like, how in the hell can they do that, right? So the paper says when we listen to a person speaking without seeing his or her face on the phone or on the radio, we often build a mental model for the way the person looks. There is a strong connection between speech and appearance, part of which is a direct result of the mechanics of speech production. Age, gender, which affects the pitch of our voice, the shape of the mouth, facial bone structure, thin or full lips, all can have an effect on the sound we generate. In addition, other voice appearance correlations stem from the way in which we talk, language, accent, speed, pronunciations. Such properties of speech are often shared among nationalities and cultures, which can in turn translate into common physical features. So fascinatingly, they're looking at the structure of the face to generate what that type of a face would sound like.
Well, I can understand that that's possible, but I just can tell you that back in the days when you didn't have video phones and video calls, and you would only talk to people on the phone, and you would imagine what they looked like. And I would have to say that 9 out of 10 times I would think somebody looked a certain way, and then when I actually met them, they look completely different from that, because they might have had a beautiful voice, but look like a gargoyle. So I mean that that happened. So I wonder how accurate this really will be.
Oh, it is. I will put the before and after. We'll put the before and after photos in the show notes. It's pretty amazing.
Scary.
Yeah.
So do you have more news? Because I have shiny objects.
I'm good. Let's go to the shiny objects.
Okay, so now you're able, this has been a difficult thing about Google Docs. Now you're able to, if you have a G Suite account anyway, you can compare versions on the same screen in Google Docs. So you can see the difference between the docs as suggested edits in a new document, and you can use that tool. So, that's really helpful during contract negotiations, and you can see what terms have been changed and be able to compare the final version to the initial version. Although when lawyers get involved, they always turn the damn document into a PDF. So that you really can't see the changes, but if they leave them in docs, you will be able to see, and you also are able to see all the different versions in Google Docs. I think that's new as well.
Very good. Helpful. I've got a great suggestion of a podcast. This is called the Business of Story podcast. It's hosted by Park Howell, and he does interviews about storytelling with content creators, advertising creatives, authors, screenwriters, marketers and brand raconteurs, he says. A recent episode was titled How We Use ABT to Focus Your Brand Stories. A really good episode. It was the ABT structure guides you to create a concise brand proposition as it uses the principal elements of setup and the customer, which is the A, the customer problem your brand is solving, B is for but, and your sought after solution, T is for therefore. So ABT is and but therefore, and it goes through the how you can use that in your branding and setting up your brand proposition. So it's really good episode, and I've been listening to this podcast for a while. A lot of good episodes on storytelling.
Well, the one that I have found this week is the Atlantic's Daily Idea Story. And it's my speed. It's a 2-minute daily smart speaker story. It's made for Amazon and Google smart speakers, and you can also listen to it on desktop. And so it just gives you, an Atlantic story, and they're always so interesting. And you get one every morning. So I have that on my list now.
All right, I'll have to add that to mine as well. This is a cool tool, really easy to use. It's called the Big Crunch, and it is you can build a great free live chart. So it's basically a slide share for charts. So you choose a format: bar graph, pie chart, word cloud, even memes. You can add your data, create, and then share. So you can have a sharing link, a link you can share on social. You can embed the charts on your blog or whatever. So it's a neat, cool tool I found.
That's a good one. That's definitely a good one. The one that I mentioned before, Podsites, is it's also a free tool, and it tracks podcasts and ad buys, and it tells you which advertisers appear on what podcast. But it also has brand filters so that you can look up any brand and see where they're advertising, and it has data export, which is going to be very helpful.
Oh, that's very useful. You didn't mention the brand filter part.
Yeah,
of it.
that's
cool.
New. They just added that.
That's awesome. I got no more.
I don't either, but you have a political one.
I do indeed. This is Vic Mensa has released a new music video called Camp America. The first two stanzas of the song go, "There's a place, it's the time of your life, no parents allowed and no playing inside. You can laugh, you can cry at Camp America. So much fun, you lose count of the days playing hide and go seek inside of your cage. Daddy loves you, so he sent you away to Camp America." So the music video features happy kids playing in cages. They're falling asleep under foil blankets on concrete floors. They're drinking from toilets. They're being given medications. The second half of the video turns menacing with suggestions of rape, force feeding, kids' voices crying, "I want to go home." And all of the kids are blonde-haired and white. The video closes with this message: "There are over 13,000 immigrant children in U.S. custody today. What if it was your kid?" A powerful protest song and sad commentary.
Yeah, I watched it and cried.
Yeah.
It just really said. Another thing that I watched this week, that really interesting PBS documentary on Richard Nixon and his demise, and comparing it to today with the people who were involved at that time, Bernstein and the reporters and the government people, John Dean, and, really pointing out how similar what's happening now is to what happened then. And we'll see where it goes. But I'm most of the way through that, and it's horrifying.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap this up. Daily numbers. This is from Litmus, who just released a state of email report. It's well worth reading. Put a link to it in the show notes. So this is email. The average time spent reading an email increased by nearly 29% over the last 7 years. So people are reading more of their emails. In 2011, the average time spent reading an email was 10.4 seconds. And in 2018, the average time spent reading an email is 13.4 seconds. That doesn't sound like a lot of time, but actually it is.
Times
There's
800 a day, it is.
But there's a lot of, well, I mean, just for an individual email, that's actually a lot of time to scan through what's going on. And people will typically, if it's a newsletter or something, there's a bunch of things in it. They'll scan through it to see what the headlines are, to see what they want to read, if anything. But it's quite a bit of time if you think about it. Count it out to yourself, and you'll see as you're reading like an email. Secondly, 61% of emails are being read for more than 8 seconds. So the share of emails that got glanced, skimmed, or read from 2011 to 2018, we'll have a chart in the show notes that shows that progression. But it does show that the emails are being read for more time. I think that might have something to do with the state of social too, that we're returning to email because it's a safer channel than social has become. So that's kind of my read on it. I have no evidence to back it up, but there you
go. Well, who needs evidence? No, I think that emails have also gotten longer, and they therefore take more time if you're actually going to read them. But email's the bane of my existence. I get more than 800 a day, and they even going through and just zapping them unless they have like a really interesting subject line, it still takes hours every day. It's horrible. I hate email.
Use the search function and mass delete. That's how I do it.
Well, I mean, I do get a lot of newsletters that I want to read, and so I get most of what I get is news stuff that I subscribe to. But anyway, that brings us to the end of episode 273 of the Beyond Social Media Show. And if you want to find us, you just search for Beyond Social Media Show. Links to everything we talked about today will be at our blog, beyondsocialmediashow.com/273. And I am here with my charming co-host, David Erickson, who you'll find on Twitter as D. Erickson, on Instagram as D.E. Erickson, on YouTube as eStrategy, and he blogs at e-strategyblog.com, which is a wonderful blog that you should be subscribing to. I'm BL Ochman. I blog at What's Next blog. I'm on Twitter as What's Next. I'm on YouTube as What's Next. My business website's blochman.com. And the show, beyondsocialmediashow.com. And on Twitter, we are at BS Media Show. And we will be back next week, and we'll see you then. And we thank you for watching tonight.
Thanks for watching.